Here we are going to solve 5 PMP questions. The domain is business environment. Before starting each question, I will give you the concept, and with the help of that concept, we have to solve the question. So, our first concept, which is related to question number 1, is when a major change occurs before authorization, reassess the business document and project justification first rather than rushing into planning or execution. What does it mean? See, the keyword here is authorization. Authorization means when the project charter is formally approved or signed by the sponsor, it means our project is authorized, and the project, as a project manager, you are able to use the resources of that organization. But here it says, if the question comes that before authorization means charter is not approved so far and there are major changes in the project, then what you have to do, you have to reassess the business document. And business document, I told you in my earlier videos that business document is divided into two parts. First is called the business case, the second part is known as the benefit management plan. So where we justify the project in business case, we do cost benefit analysis. On the basis of cost benefit analysis, we make a decision whether we have to run the project or not. So if the business case is already approved but the charter is not approved, if there are many mandatory changes comes, so what you have to do, you have to reassess the business document. In business document, which part, business case, and then you have to find out whether we have to go or not go. Here I have written that this question is related to domain business environment. Task is evaluate external business environment changes. Approach, we are going to use predictive, waterfall, traditional. These are the same names, right? Synonyms. And topic is external regulatory change before charter approval. Keyword is charter is not approved so far. Question number 1 is, here I will highly recommend please pause the video, read the question and try your best to find out the best solution. Then you can compare with my answer. A compliance automation project received approval based on the business document. And which part of the business document? Business case 8 months ago. 8 means months ago when we were working on the business case, it was justified that we can go with the project. Before the project is signed, see, it is not signed, a new regulation changes the required control. There are too many mandatory requirements, enforcement timelines, potential penalties, expectations for audit evidence. But the sponsor wants to approve the charter immediately using the existing baseline, which were approved 8 months ago. He said, okay, just approve it because the project remains compliance driven. What should the project manager recommend? See, project charter is not approved, there are some mandatory changes, so you have to reassess the business document or business case. Approve the charter using the existing business case? No. Begin a minimum viable compliance releases immediately. There is no need to do anything immediately. C is reevaluate and update the business document and other relevant business documents so that authorization reflects the current regulatory requirements, benefit, constraint, risk, cost implications, and go or no go. Excellent, best choice. See, whenever the new changes will come, you have to evaluate what will be the benefits, what are the risk, cost implication, and so on. On the basis of that, you have to justify whether it should go or not. Develop a schedule baseline first. See, here it says before the charter. When the charter is not approved, we are not able to make any baseline. So this is wrong. C is correct. So here you can read the explanation. I have written that C answer is the best choice. Explanation is here why A, B, and D is wrong. So you can read it. This is your homework. Now, for question number 2, I will again give you a brief clue. When a major new requirement is discovered, see, major key is major new requirement is discovered when before the project charter is approved. Again, We are working on the charter. It is not approved. And who will approve the charter? Sponsor. So if the charter is not approved, but there are many new requirements, so what you have to do? You have to identify, analyze, and communicate to the sponsor. Escalate this issue to the sponsor. The charter is not approved because the sponsor is actually responsible for the charter, and there are big changes. So again, we have to reassess business case authorization. Do not immediately, this is again very important thing, do not immediately submit a change request when the project has not yet established the approved baseline. When you have to submit the change request when the baselines are approved. There is scope baseline, cost baseline, is schedule baseline. All three together is known as the performance baseline, which we will discuss later on. So if the baseline is not approved, no need to submit the change request. So again, you can read this. Now pause your video. While preparing the project charter, see, we are working on the project charter. Project manager discovers that several mandatory requirements were overlooked in the business case. If these requirements are not addressed, the organization could face significant legal and compliance consequences. However, including them could substantially increase the project scope, cost, and complexity. What should the project manager do first? Sometimes you will see what he should do first, what he should do next. So be careful what they are asking. What he should do first, right? Charter is not approved. Initiate a formal change request. No need to submit the change request because baseline is not approved. Document the regulatory requirement as risk and develop an appropriate risk responses. Again, charter is not approved, so we cannot make the risk responses. Continue with the project authorization and address the regulatory requirement during project planning. Escalate the finding. See, continue with the project authorization. No, because there are too many mandatory requirements which were overlooked. So now we have to escalate the findings to the project sponsor for review and a decision on how to proceed. We should go or not go with the project. Again, D is the correct answer. Here is the explanation why A, B, C are wrong. You can read it. This is your homework. Again, please pause your video for question number 3. What I have written here, when a question says before the next phase or before detailed planning, because in a project we divide the project into phases. When one project is done, right after before starting the next, we do the stage gate meeting. So it says before the next phase major changes have occurred. Charter is approved, but one phase is done. When we are moving to the other phase, we should not blindly consider the charter, right? Because there are too many new changes are there, so we have to reassess, validate authorization, business justification means business case, whether we should proceed or not, update affected documents, then plan. The key concept is not blindly relying on the original charter when significant conditions have changed. Here is domain is business environment and so on. You can read it. Now we will solve with the help of previous slide. Question number 3. A project has successfully completed its first phase and satisfied all required phase gate criteria. First phase is done. Before the next phase began, several important conditions have changed. New sponsor prep has taken over, privacy regulation have been updated, and the expected business benefits have shifted from cost reduction to risk mitigation. Some team members believe the existing project charter is sufficient to authorize the remaining phases, right? Some believes. But what should you do? What should the project manager do before beginning detailed planning for the next phase? Reassess the project authorization, business justification, expected benefits, regulatory requirements, stakeholder responsibilities, success measure, and governance requirement before moving into the next phase. Best choice, because before starting to next phase, if there are too many changes, so we have to find out, we have to reassess what will be the benefits, what are the risks, what will be the cost, and everything, right? Continue with the existing charter? No, we do not have to continue with the existing charter. Terminate the current project? No, first we have to evaluate. On the basis of that we will decide. This is not the right answer. Begin detailed planning immediately? No need to start anything immediately. So A is the best answer. So what you have to do, reassess project authorization, business case, benefits, regulatory requirements. Again, this is your homework. When you will read it in this way, you will learn more. Why the other options are incorrect, I have written here. Okay, so question number 4. Note for the question number 4, the charter authorizes and establishes. See what we write down in the charter, we write down high level boundaries, high level stakeholders, high level constraint, high level assumption, high level things we have to write down in the charter. Where we have to write down detail in project management plan, explains how the project will be managed in detail. So question is, a project charter is being prepared for a new project, that is fine. The draft identifies the sponsor, project manager, and the brief project description. It does not define measurable objective, major assumptions and constraint, success and completion criteria, high level risk. See, the draft identifies sponsor manager, but they do not mention high level things in the charter. Sponsor argue that the charter should remain concise because these details can be delivered later in the project management plan. What should the project manager do next? Even the sponsor is saying, right? But you have to be very transparent. Accept the charter? No. Develop the detailed scope, WBS and schedule first? No. Transfer the missing information to the stakeholder register via stakeholder register. Enhance the charter before approval by adding, because if the charter is not approved, we cannot start anything. We cannot work on WBS, we cannot find out the stakeholders or register and whatever. Enhance the charter before approval by adding the high level objectives, boundaries, authority, governance requirement, risk constraint, budget parameters and completion criteria. So D is the best choice. Here I have written explanation and why the other options are incorrect. You can read it. Question number 5. Okay, before going to start, I will explain to you business case. Business case justifies the project. As I told you, in business case, we do cost benefit analysis. On the basis of that, we have to find out whether we should go or not go with that project. Project charter formally authorizes the project and empowers the project manager, right? Until or unless project charter is not approved, if the question comes, the sponsor, higher authorities are asking you to start the work, for charter will approve shortly. No, you have to say in a good way that if the unless or until charter is not approved, we cannot start the work, right? When a question asks whether the PM can commit resources before the charter is approved, look for the answer that emphasizes formal authorization and governance. And domain is again business environment. So now we will read the question. Please pause the video. The business case for a new analytics platform has been accepted, right? An executive tells the project manager to reserve architect and data analytics, stating that formal project approval is expected shortly. This is the key word. However, the project charter has not been approved, and the functional managers question whether the project manager currently has the authority to commit their resources. No, they do not have any authority unless or until charter is not approved. What should the project manager do? Ask functional manager to place temporary hold? No. Explain that acceptance of the business case supports moving towards the project authorization. That is fine, because if the business case says okay, we can go with the project, but committing organizational resources should wait until the charter or another formal authorization grants the project best manager that authority, best choice. Reserve only a small percentage? No, we cannot reserve anything. Treat approval of the business case as temporary? No. Right, so here I have written the explanation why the other options are incorrect. This is your homework. Now I am pretty sure these 5 questions are 100% clear, but still if you do have any question, please do not hesitate to ask me. Kindly subscribe to my channel, comment, like and share it. See you in the next video, and thank you.